Good morning, everyone. This is Trevor, education programmer from Stark Parks. In this time period of COVID-19, it's very understandable the severity of the virus and the fear that people have from it. I'm very thankful that we have many people from all walks of life, including you, doing your part to help the situation. A few months ago, before this all got started, I read a story that was shared by the Magnolia Area Historical Society in regard to a different disease that wreaked havoc across the world for centuries, and that disease would be smallpox. Now, before I get into what happened in this story from Magnolia in 1901, let me share a little bit about the history of smallpox. Smallpox was a very contagious disease and caused by the variola virus. It caused fever and a progressive skin rash. According to some information from the Centers for Disease Control, about 3 out of every 10 people who contracted it died. Those who did survive often had permanent scars over large parts of their body. Scientists have been able to trace the existence of smallpox back to over 2,000 years ago when studying mummies from places like Egypt. This was a disease that was highly contagious and ravaged parts of the world. A perfect example of this is when native groups like the Aztecs in the Americas were first introduced to the disease when European colonization began in the 1500s. Before there was a vaccine, a process known as variolation was used. Variolation took material from smallpox sores and gave them to someone who never had the disease through inhaling it or scratching it into their arm. People still would usually get smallpox, but wouldn't get it as badly as if it had occurred naturally. In 1796, an English doctor named Edward Jenner noticed that milkmaids who had contracted cowpox did not show any symptoms to smallpox after variolation. So he then conducted an experiment with a milkmaid and took material from her cowpox sore and inoculated it into a young boy's arm. Months later, the boy was exposed several times to the variola virus, which is smallpox, but never contracted it. And this is how vaccines were first invented. And over the next nearly 200 years, smallpox would be eradicated naturally throughout the world. The word vaccine itself comes from Latin for cow. So now we can get back to our Magnolia story. In late July of 1901, there was an article in the News-Democrat of Canton regarding a feud between the towns of Waynesburg and Magnolia due to the smallpox epidemic. The July 29th article begins by saying, "Smallpox scabs through the mails." This is the announcement that comes from Waynesburg. As a result of the bitterness engendered over the smallpox scare and quarantine against Magnolia, someone who lives at Magnolia tried to wreak a fiendish revenge upon Mayor Stans of Waynesburg by sending him a package containing scabs removed from one of the smallpox patients at Magnolia. It goes on further to say that the letter with it, written in a disguised hand, said, "I understand you want some smallpox scabs. We have not got very many, but send you what we can spare." The citizens of Magnolia made a rebuttal in the August 2nd, 1901 newspaper. They believed the letter was sent as a practical joke and did not contain any contagious matter. They went further to condemn such dastardly and cowardly conduct as sending either genuine or pretended disease germs by mail to anyone either for the purpose of sport or for malice. Hopefully you enjoyed the story and this lesson. If you want to read these articles fully, you can access them through the Stark County Library's online newspaper database. Stay healthy and have a great rest of your day.